Hello, today I'll be going through the newest JP Uma scenario, the PC scenario, Beyond Dreams, how to play early, and yeah, I have to say this is the early impression, so many of the upgrades, the scenario upgrades are subject to change, and I wouldn't be surprised if they really did change, as people figure out other ways to play this scenario. So an overview of what I'll be going through, how good is this scenario versus the previous scenario, Yukoma Onsen, card composition, how to play in terms of general scenario upgrades and what buttons to press, as well as what things to look out for. So overall, this scenario is a mix between Al-Haru and Mecha in terms of Al-Haru burst and Mecha facility upgrades. And in terms of similarity to Men, there are no normal career races, no career race related stories, no New Year, Fan Fest, etc. And how it works is you choose a BC to work towards at the start of the career, and you get a set schedule based on this selection. So for example, I choose Turf, so I got a selection of Hopeful Stakes, Nihon Derby, and I'll get a total of 6 races, including the BC Turf. And I also get a skill, a rest skill, which is relevant to the distance. So for example, if you run a medium, you might get a medium skill. So do look out for that as you are training. A comparison between the scenarios Beyond Dreams and Onsen. Beyond Dreams is better for Ace from what I know. There's a higher stat cap, which means your Uma can use this all-out spurt mechanic, which is pretty important. It's a pretty important late game mechanic, which you need 2000 speed to achieve, and this is pretty hard to achieve on any previous scenario, which is why Beyond Dreams is probably the best for Ace for the upcoming CM. There's slightly higher stat growth, but is balanced by a lower SP growth compared to Onsen. Onsen gets about 500 to 700 more, which makes it better for parents, and even better if the certain Uma has special race mechanics, such as Ikuno Dictus's Iron Lily, is it? That increases her skill point and stat gain per career race, and since there's only 6 here, you really don't get that much out of it. So card composition, similar to Onsen, you'll run double speed, strength, wit and stamina or guards depending on distance. So stamina for medium long, guard for sprint mile, and these are 2 example deck for Sashi cards. So the top deck is for mile slash sprint Sashi deck, but technically this card doesn't really fit, it's more for mediums. And the second deck is for medium long. Yeah, so instead of this, I'll probably take in Flash. So Scenario POW, Casino Drive is mandatory here. The SSR is basically mandatory. You can run the rare, but it'll be much harder. And 0 LB is perfectly fine. So should be pretty doable with the 120 free pools you're getting. And yeah. Moving on to the explanation of upgrades from left to right. You have the physical, technique, mental. This is a pretty similar mechanic to like Mecha, if you see it, where each facility has certain upgrade specs. So for physical, you get friend bonus, training bonus, and at level 2 plus, you get energy reduction, which is pretty important early game. It gives you SP percent, and at level 3, it provides a hint from support card during dream training. We'll go into this later now. At level 5, you'll get a hint from all support card. And additionally, as you level it up, your level 3 becomes hint from 2 support cards. Yeah. In terms of mental, it will be a Kizuna or friend gauge, failure protection, and a stat per training cap raise. So in this scenario, your singular trainings will become very strong and you'll often hit the training cap. So this is pretty important to raise your training cap per training. Moving on to upgrade guide, this is what many are looking for, I would assume. What to upgrade? This subject to change. These 2 are important to take note of, 113, 311 and 515. And later on, if you're lacking hints, you can go for 557 or 678. This is basically prioritizing technique over physical, meaning you'll get more skill points and more hints. but this is at a sacrifice of stats, since you'll be lowering physical and you'll also be lowering your mental for one stage here, which is not the best because you'll probably hit your stat cap at this stage of the game. So your 113 start, as seen here, can be replaced by 311. So 311 helps with your energy, as seen your level 3 physical provides you 70% energy reduction during DT turns. However, 113 can help with your Kizuna gauge early, which can help get early rainbows, which are pretty important too for early stat gain. Honestly, it's up to you. It's up to you to experiment and try out. But personally, I don't really see a difference between these two starts. But I do prefer the 113 start for Kizuna gauge. Of course, this also depends on your support cards. Let's say your support cards has more energy regeneration events, then sure, you can go for 113. But if you are struggling with early game energy, you might want to start with 311 for the energy reduction, since you'll be basically getting 2 free turns of training with 311. Yeah, so this is up to your deck also. Doesn't really make a big difference. To hit 515, your teammate's rank has to be CDD or above by end of junior year. And this is cause the higher your rank, the more points you get to upgrade your facilities. So the more DP that you get from upgrading your rank, the more you can upgrade your facilities, which are important. And level 8 mental is important. This training, as mentioned, trainings are very strong late game and they'll often cap, so you really do need the level 8 mental to increase that cap and to increase your highest stat gain per training. So of course the question will be, why go for so high physical if mentioned the later trainings will often stack cap? What's the point, right? So why go it instead of 588, 578 or 688? So this is cause increasing physical also increases your secondary status. So for example, when you train speed, your power also increases. So in this case, secondary status, since it increases much less than your primary status, it will never cap. So it still benefits from leveling up the physical. And this scenario is rather SP scarce, so you'll never really be in a situation where you have too much SP and not enough important skills to take. But personally, this is also subject to change, since I found the difference between going for 588 or 858 to not be too big and mostly depend on your run RNG. So going into a gameplay, raising your teammates' rank is the highest priority, even if your other training has more support cards. So for example, my this training only has 1 support card. If my stamina has the other 4 of my support cards, I'll still not go for stamina, I'll still go for guts here. And you do want to unlock your casino drive date as early as possible by training with her, which is why I'll do this training also. And spamming wit is good in this scenario, unlike in the previous Onsen scenario where you really want to avoid spamming wit. Spamming wit here is good, because if you notice here, your wit actually has a much higher cap this time. It has even higher than guards, power, stamina. And wit also refunds you energy, which is a scarce resource in this scenario. And moving on to your important training note, so 3 trainings will provide your partner the potential to burst. So you can see 3 sections here. After you complete the 3, you'll be ready to burst. This burst mechanic is very similar to our Haru burst. It just increases your stat gain, and early on, burst plus DT is okay, and up to around middle of classic year basically. So this is what I'll go into later on. So Casino Drive date gives 3 levels to the lowest ranked teammates, but this will not activate burst and will not warn you if not all 3 levels are used. So for example, if all my Umas are like burst ready and I press this, I will not get my 3 levels. And the 3 levels will go to the lowest rank. So in this case, if it will probably go to like Ebaya and Red Desire. And yeah, it will not warn you if not all 3 levels are used, as shown here. if you decide to press this training, you'll only get 2 levels, so you're basically wasting 1 level without knowing. You'll not want you. And for summer vacations, in classic race, you do want to try to DT during these turns, unless you do have good training before you DT, because you want to make use of level 5 training area. It's just extra stats. And every turn during summer vacation, you'll provide 1 gauge level to a partner. So make sure at least one teammate, one partner can receive this level. If they're all ready to burst, this level will just be wasted. So moving on to when do you want to DT. So how DT works is it increases your stat gain by putting all 5 of your support cards plus 3 teammates on all 5 trainings. And you activate Rainbow when possible on the correct training. So for example, on speed training, you'll activate Falco Rainbow. And on junior year, you want to use these on turns, but only 1 teammate on each training. So instead of only increasing 1 rank at a time, you can use a DT to increase 3 ranks at a time, since you'll bring all 3 of your teammates onto all the trainings. Later on, you want to use this on bad turns, basically when the turns have no rainbows or no good burst in the turns. You want to just use it to call everyone onto all the trainings. Of course, no teammates later on is a bit less important, since they do provide less stats and you have all your facilities upgraded enough already to not have this matter too much. For late game senior DT becomes very strong. So if you combo together with burst, as shown here, he used his DT together with 3 bursts, it's very easy to hit the training cap. So for example here, 80 and 220 are the training cap, and you decide to DT on this turn when you have 3 bursts, you're very likely going to be hitting the training cap. So if there were no cap, this could probably be like a plus 350 SP or whatever, but since you decided to DT and hit the cap, you're basically wasting the extra 100 SP, and instead you can spread out the turns of the DT and burst for more stats. So for example, maybe you use up 2 of your bursts first before you decide to DT on the next turn. And this is also why level 8 mental is important. Let's say he did not have level 8 mental here, his skill point will probably become like plus maybe 180, and the stat gain will also be maybe like plus 60, something like that. You'll basically be much lesser stat gain, and you'll be wasting even more stats if your mental is not leveled up. Lastly, when to finish your dates. You want to do this before senior late June, but try to drag it out to be as close to this date as possible. After late June, you get 4 DT. You don't want to waste turns on date here, as you can spread it out on DT plus burst on 8 turns. You only get 8 turns and 4 DT, so every other turn you have to DT basically. And during this period, you'll also be getting a lot of bursts, so you want to spend as much of your time either pressing good bursts or good DT turns. You don't want to waste it on dates. This is why you want to finish it before senior late June, but as close as possible so you have energy for your last 8 turns and don't have to spam with. Thank you.